This video is sponsored by DoorDash. Wow, y'all really like this video. Let's do another one then. If you're new here, welcome in, and if you know me, welcome back. And today we're talking about Pros vs. Joes Season 1, Episode 2. If you're just joining in, Pros vs. Joes is where three wannabe athletes try to compete against some of the best athletes to ever walk the earth in some challenges. And Episode 2 has a pretty stacked cast. We lead off this episode with Bo Jackson, and dude, this guy was once a Pro Bowler and Major League Baseball All-Star at the same time. If I was on the show, he's probably the only person that could show up and I'd go, thank God he's holding a baseball bat and not wearing a football helmet. Next we have Dan O'Brien, a former Olympic gold medalist in the decathlon. Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking, yeah, I'm picking a track and field athlete on a show like this 100%, but me, I am staying away from anyone who does these events for fun. Next up, they're bringing out Muggsy Bogues, and I know people try to use Muggsy Bogues as an indicator that the 90s era of basketball was weak, but no, this guy can hoop. He played 14 years in the league and averaged a double-double in 1993-1994, and is one of the best passers and pickpockets in the league, not just in that era of all time. Following that up, we have Jenny Finch, an Olympic gold medalist in softball and one of the best softball pitchers of all time. Just for reference, here's her striking out Albert Pujols. That rising fastball of hers gives Major League Baseball players fits. And the cast doesn't get any easier. Next up is Bill Romanowski, a 16-year NFL vet where he was voted the 5th dirtiest player in sports history on an ESPN article, and he also had a stint where he admitted to using steroids. These are the 5 pros, and I do not put this lightly. It's my prediction that all of these Joes are getting cooked here. I write these scripts as I write these episodes, so these are just my flowing thoughts. And as I wrote this part in the script, I was like, no, they're all cooked. With that being said, let's meet the Joes here. All right, the first Joe is named Eric, a 34-year-old chiropractic physician who describes himself as,
I'm faster than I look. I'm sneaky quick.
Joe number 2 is a guy who goes by Larry Johnson, and he says he comes with respect.
190 from Hillsborough, New Jersey, and respect.
I don't believe you.
He was my prediction to win as I was writing the script. And the last Joe is Greg Norris, and he is not afraid to be animated on this show.
I'm the guy up in the stands yelling, "You suck!"
The first matchup is hitting a softball against Jenny Finch. Now, in between these segments, Greg Norris is out to remind us that this show was on Spike TV.
Got a facial too.
I like getting spanked by girls.
Oh, just to back up, Spike TV was a network that was designed to make TV shows that appealed to the young adult male demographic, with shows like 1,000 Ways to Die, a show that literally told you about 1,000 ways to die. Then there was Manswers, a TV show that would answer all the questions that men could possibly have, like, how could a guy get a free beer? Sorry, I meant to say brewski. And which bathroom stall is the cleanest of them all? I didn't make any of these up, by the way. Those were all real Spike TV Manswers segments. 2000s, am I right? There was also Slam Ball, which answered the age-old question, what if we gave people trampolines and told them to play basketball? I've already made a video about this, and I will make another one again if I have to. In addition to Greg's comments, which we will see more of later, Eric James's audition tape also does not put him in a good light.
Women's sports are never going to be the epidemic that you see in men's athletics.
You know who I am? Do you know who I am?
In his audition tape, Larry Johnson called pro athletes dumb, and then we have Greg Norris in the audition tapes just showing feet. All I can say about this audition tape review is that Jenny Finch is pissed. Usually we see the pros have like lighthearted, playful banter about these guys. No, Jenny Finch is like not happy.
A lot of professional athletes are dumb.
I don't like him either.
You don't like him either.
And it's valid. You have a guy on the audition tape trying to invalidate all of women's sports. That's gotta be frustrating. We're only like 5 minutes into the episode and we already have banter on this show that seems way more tense than episode 1. In the Jenny Finch challenge, each player gets 3 at-bats, and the Joe that puts the ball in play the most will win the challenge.
Here comes Mr. Mouth.
Hey, if you're gonna get spanked, wouldn't you like to get spanked by her? Come on.
Oh, I just can't wait to be Joe.
Greg doesn't even come close the first time. Like, not even close. Larry Johnson isn't close either, and at this point in the game, I really want to point out that Jenny Finch has only thrown fastballs. She's not even trying to mix it up out there right now. She's trying to assert dominance, and she's doing it very well. Now, Eric, who has seen the last two Joes get only fastballs, gets the nastiest changeup.
Oh, good changeup.
Strike two, way out in front of it. Got him with the breaking ball.
And it is hilarious. I also want to make a note of the fact that Bo Jackson and Muggsy Bogues on this episode are excellent trash talkers.
You gotta open your eyes and swing. That's the only way to hit it.
In an even funnier development, Eric strikes out and decides not to argue with the pros, but with the umpire instead.
And that is strike three. Look it. Joe number one is out.
Stinking it up. Are you aware of that?
Eric, buddy, you're gonna have to lock in. You're gonna have to lock in. If you're arguing with the umpire already, you're cooked. On his second attempt, Greg tries to switch hit and it goes poorly. I'm going to use this time as a lesson for anyone that is trying to play baseball anytime soon. Never try to switch hit if you're not a switch hitter and the first side didn't go well. I once did this in a baseball tryout in 7th grade and did not make any of the teams. This was like a citywide rec league tryout. And when I say I didn't make any team, there were like 9 different teams. I didn't make a single one. All right, so lesson to all you wannabe switch hitters, don't do it if you haven't practiced it. All right. Larry goes up again and makes contact with the ball. And while it goes foul, it is still viewed as one giant leap for Joe Kind.
That's our first contact.
First one to get a piece.
2 pitches later, he does make contact that qualifies as a hit. I'm going to hate a little bit and say that that ball barely left the infield and would have been a flyout in my opinion, but that's just me. I know it's not the objective of the challenge, but I just wanted to point that out. You could also see his face of elation knowing that he didn't think that he was going to be able to do that. Meanwhile, the host has a wild note on Eric James.
Joe number one, who is yet to make contact, said that he'd rather himself than lose to a girl.
I'm sorry, what?
Eric James is also crowding the plate, which Jenny Finch is like, hey, let's send him a message, and it hits him intentionally, which counts as a hit in the challenge. I get why they counted it as a hit in the challenge, but I wish that it didn't, because, I mean, you have to have some kind of incentive to stop Jenny Finch from hitting players, but yeah, I get it. Greg tries to talk trash, gets owned, and at least bows to Jenny after. Larry Johnson gets one more hit, and it's all down to Eric.
To the house, baby.
Strike three.
Eric loses and is pissed, and this is absolutely hilarious. For all the talking down he was doing on women's sports, to see him end up like this in the challenge, priceless.
Look at Joe number one. He's mad back there. Look at him. He's not having it. Look at that Joe number one. Look at that.
The next challenge involves being tackled by Bill Romanowski. I'm gonna be honest, give me Bo Jackson. I'd rather face off against Bo Jackson at this point. I don't want to be tackled by that guy. And it's so funny seeing Eric so upset. Meanwhile, Greg is out here dapping up the athletes, just having the time of his life, and even has this incredible one-liner that just shows how cooked he is for this challenge.
Here's another good question. What's the front?
Buddy, you were done. Timeout, 60 seconds. This video was sponsored by DoorDash. As you can see by this nifty chart, I spend so much time and energy making, scripting, and editing content that I don't have the time to set aside to cook meals sometimes. With that in mind, I'm really happy that DoorDash has me covered. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, DoorDash allows me to order from so many options and help me stay focused on what I love best, which is creating content. But this also goes beyond food. With DoorDash, you can have almost anything brought straight to your door. Whether it's flowers for that special occasion with that special someone, retail items where you traveled light on a vacation and forgot something specific, or if you're just craving a dessert from your favorite ice cream shop. The possibilities are just endless with DoorDash, your door to more. So what are you waiting for? Download the DoorDash app now to get almost anything delivered. And using my discount code Kofie50, you get 50% off of up to 10% on your first order of $15 or more. This is a limited time offer. Thank you so much to DoorDash for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you, the viewer, for helping me out and checking out these sponsors. It really helps the channel out. All right, I think we can resume play. To level the playing field, there are concealers, so Romanowski has to guess which door the Joes are going to use. For this challenge, it's about how many yards you can gain off of Romanowski, and Larry Johnson is immediately stopped. I do want to point out that Larry Johnson said that he used to play football. Larry Johnson said he used to play football, and you know how it's a typical Joe story. I would have made it to the league if I didn't get hurt.
I wanted to be a professional football player. There's a lot of players in the league that I think I could post up.
I'm into the turf.
Greg, who has never played football a day in his life, does worse and only gets 1 yard. And it reminds me of the age-old Twitter debate where it was like, if you were in the NFL and you were handed the ball, how many yards would you be able to get? Would you be able to get 1 yard? Eric, on the other hand, gets 25 yards.
Takes right, cuts left, Romo falls down.
I just want to remind everyone here that Romanowski is 40 years old. Also, this round feels like a little bit of luck, like guessing game stuff, and then some skill. And I say that it's a little bit of luck because Larry Johnson's luck has run out. He runs right into Romanowski twice. Greg shows up next, and he does one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the show so far.
Put him down.
Coming all the way out. Oh, he pops back in. Oh, the right side.
Eric can't repeat his last round performance and gets stopped. In the final round, Greg somehow gets to the end zone, so it's all up to Eric. Eric needs a touchdown to be able to win this round, and Eric comes up clutch. For me, Greg got so close to winning this for someone that has never played organized football, and I was like, not bad. I was watching that being like, okay. For this challenge, I also understand how disadvantaged Romanowski is with the blockers. It felt like more of a guessing game than anything. Greg has 0 wins right now and has to bounce back in the 3rd round, and that's skeet shooting. And that's when I really felt sorry for one specific contestant. It's time to learn a little bit more about Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson is from Alabama and he loves hunting. At the end of his ESPN 30 for 30 You Don't Know Bo, Bo shows us his trophy room. And oh, by the way, hits a target from a ways away with a bow and arrow. Now I know that shooting with a gun is different from shooting with a bow and arrow. Bo likes archery better than guns. So, but still, either way, this round is supposed to be like one thing the Joes aren't good at. I feel like Bo is going to show out here. The funniest thing also is that the other pros just call Greg Mouth because he just talks a lot of trash.
Mouth is mousy. He's like a mouse. That's exactly what he is.
I tell you what, if I could have got him in the hall, I would. Oh.
I think that's the funniest thing because they didn't even bother to like learn his name. They're like, Mouth. I'm never gonna see this guy again. He's the guy with the mouth. For shooting, Eric picks Dan, Greg picks Muggsy, and Larry gets Bo Jackson. Now, even though Dan is a decathlete, there's no shooting event in the decathlon, so it wasn't one of those things where I'm like, oh, Dan's gonna be good at this. He goes 1 for 5. And I'm gonna be the first to say it. Is this a challenge that really evened the playing field? I'm not exactly sure. Also, I don't know if this makes a difference or not, but they're shooting at night. I have no idea if the day versus night in terms of shooting targets makes a difference, but I just wanted to point that out. Maybe that's also a hindrance, and it doesn't, I don't know if it didn't feel like an advantage when I was watching this. If there's a shooting expert, feel free to comment about this. Eric comes up clutch once again and beats Dan by hitting 2 out of 5. Next up is Bo Jackson, and he one-ups them both.
Bo makes contact on the 3rd and the 4th.
Is that Bo Jackson or is that Katniss? Is that Oliver Queen? What are other good archers? Kofie, you should know this. You love archery. Oh, Hawkeye. Oh, also, if you're watching this and you're on the Marvel Rivals Balance team, nerf Hawkeye forever. I know this is going to be an evergreen content video, but I just feel like that's always going to apply. Larry, a regular civilian going up against Bo Jackson, goes 0 for 5. Yeah, like it makes sense. Since Larry, a regular civilian, dropped a goose egg, it all comes down to Muggsy versus Greg. Greg has to beat Muggsy to force a tiebreaker. And if there is a tiebreaker, we'll get to that later.
Muggsy Bogues, a fine shooter on the basketball court. Not here at the range.
Oh my goodness, Muggsy 0 for 5 as well? Greg, you just have to hit one target. I know it's not easy. You just have to hit one target.
Oh. There it is. Greg wins matchup 3.
Guess who's not going home?
Oh my God, Greg hit the last target. This is peak TV. Now that they all have one win under their belt, the pros have to decide who goes home, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't like how they settle that at all. I would personally want it to be like a shooting sudden death where the first 2 to hit a target win. But I understand that they have a show to do. They have to keep a time frame. It's going to be hard to edit if there was just infinite sudden death. I totally get that. So the pros now get to pick, and they keep Eric, even though he has a really bad attitude. I didn't say that. Those weren't my words. Those were the pros' words. They said Eric has had a bad attitude this entire time.
First guy, the worst attitude of the bunch, but the pros agreed that he would give us the best competition in overtime. First guy is Eric.
And then they keep Greg because he has a, quote, best all-around performance because of the football and the shooting. And I understand it. Although Greg was horrendous in softball, he did perform well-ish in football and in shooting. Now, Larry was the only person in softball to actually put the ball in play, but he was so bad in football and shooting that the softball couldn't make up for it, and I understand the pros' rationale here. I just wish that it had gone to a tiebreaker instead. Now we're on to overtime, the 5-round gauntlet between both Joes of Eric and Greg. For the first event, they have to outrun an outfield ball thrown by Bo Jackson. The next event, they have to guard Muggsy Bogues. In the third round, they have to play third base against Jenny Finch, similar to the Matt Williams one. Finch is not a bad hitter. I just want to note about that. I did the research. She's not a bad hitter. Next thing you have to do is win a race against Dan O'Brien. And finally, you have to catch passes across the middle against Bill Romanowski. In the Bo Jackson event, Eric and Greg completed both in one try, which makes me think that this wasn't the best idea, because you're making a 44-year-old Bo Jackson throw from deep left field. That's a hard throw to even make when you're in your prime. I get why they did baseball instead of football for him because of the injury history, but yeah, I would have maybe started them at second and had to go against him twice. Maybe they started at second and Bo was in center field or right field, and then if they advanced, they would then be able to go to third, and then Bo Jackson would go to left field or something like that. Give him more margin for error, in my opinion. An outfield assist at home plate is probably one of the hardest things to do in baseball, and I feel like the producers didn't know that. Challenge 2 is stealing the ball from Muggsy Bogues. You have a minute. Eric does it in 15 seconds because Muggsy dribbles it off his foot after Eric goes for a steal, and honestly, that's crazy luck there. Greg forces Muggsy to double dribble and is now 10 seconds behind Eric. So not a great showing by Muggsy. Next up is fielding a ball from Jenny Finch. It takes Eric 33 seconds. It also takes Greg 33 seconds. For Eric, the time is adding up and he's building a small lead over Greg, and Greg is going to have to play catch up for the next 2 events. The next event is, can you beat Dan O'Brien in a 100-meter race? Dan is about 40 years old, so I was guessing that would take about 13-14 seconds. They get 2 tries. On the first try, they give each Joe a 10-second head start, and Dan finishes in 11.1 seconds. My prediction was way off. That's a crazy time for a 40-year-old. That is a wow. On grass, too. They're not even running on like an actual track with spikes. He's doing that on grass. This is one of the events that he did in the decathlon, so he has a lot of experience with running a race, whereas the Joes seemingly don't. Fatigue kind of sets in for Dan O'Brien as he takes only 12 seconds this time to beat Greg, but Greg wasn't even a threat because Greg may have pulled a thigh muscle. And I gotta say, man, I'm so sorry, bro. That's crazy bad luck. The next time, the Joes are given a 20-meter head start, so I thought that one of the Joes would be able to beat Dan. Eric's not able to do it. There's a photo finish, and the official gives it to Dan O'Brien because his foot touches the finish line first. I want to state that in Olympic track and normal track, you're judged by when your torso crosses to prevent people from like diving and like doing this lunging stuff. It's a mid-2000s TV show on Spike TV, so who cares what I have to say about this? Also, they didn't have the technology for that on this show, so that doesn't matter. Greg gives it his best shot, and he's an absolute shambles, man. He gets absolutely cooked by Dan. He vomits afterwards. He's actually cooked. It's okay, though. All Greg has to do is hang tough for the last event, which is, can he catch a pass against Bill Romanowski in 90 seconds? For Challenge 5, it looked like Greg was going to be able to get a lot of leeway because it takes Eric multiple tries to do that. Like, he's getting hit and he's having trouble holding on to the football. Greg has a 55-second window to be able to beat Eric. Keep in mind, he also has a messed up leg right now, so running to stop the time will also be tough, but he does have a possible window. Every pass looks catchable, but Greg just can't hang on.
He takes a tough hit from Romo.
He takes an absolute beating, and Eric wins. Since we're gonna make this a series, I've decided to rank each pro's overall performance in this episode. Last is Muggsy Bogues. Going 0 for 5 in shooting is one thing, but he just didn't give as much of a challenge as I had hoped for in the basketball segment. Both Joes were able to steal the ball away from him in less than 20 seconds. The Dennis Rodman challenge was a way more difficult challenge and Muggsy did not do his best. In tied for 4th, I actually have Bo Jackson, which I didn't think he would place this low, but here's why. Yes, he was 3 for 5 in shooting, but that's only going up against one of the 3 Joes. That, while not being a real problem for either Joe in overtime, is what places him this low in my eyes. Dan is 3rd ahead of Bo because in the racing part, neither Joe could beat him, even with a 20-meter head start, which makes up for his 1 out of 5 shooting performance. Romanowski is in at number 2 due to the fact that he did very well as the final boss in overtime. And the stage 2 with the wall was really impressive work, all things considered. The Joes had a big advantage there, and while he let 2 of them break off for 25-yard gains, he was really funny about the tackling.
Tries to spin, Romo taking him down for just a 1-yard gain. Ooh, and slamming him down again.
And number 1 goes to Jenny Finch with ease. Her overtime challenge showed her not pulling any punches for the Joes, and they had to earn that out. And her pitching challenge stole the show this episode, as only one of the 3 Joes was able to put the ball in play. I also think she was holding back a little bit because her pitch arsenal is so unique. She throws a rising fastball, which is a pitch that even major leaguers had trouble with because they're not used to a ball going that fast and up at the same time. I felt bad for Larry because I think that he would have had a better overtime performance than Greg, but what can you do? Anyway, that's it for this episode of Pros vs. Joes. Feel free to like and subscribe and comment on what your favorite part of the episode was. Thank you to each and every one of you guys for supporting me. I would not be here without you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.